It was raining that night. Not just a soft rain, not the kind that makes you want to curl up with a book or sleep a little longer. No. This was the kind of rain that feels like the sky is crying. Cold. Heavy. Endless. Like it wanted to wash everything away. Anna stood under the old streetlight, her suitcase beside her soaked through. Her hair stuck to her cheeks. Her hands trembled not just from the cold, but from everything. The phone call, the broken words, the silence that came after. It all echoed in her mind like a sad song on repeat. She had nowhere to go now. No home, no job, no love. Just a city that didn't care she existed. She looked up into the rain, her eyes wide open, letting the drops fall in like tears she could no longer cry. A taxi passed, splashing dirty water at her feet. She didn't move. She didn't feel it. 3 hours ago, she was sitting in a small cafe waiting for him. Daniel. He always ordered the same thing. Black coffee, no sugar, no milk. Just like him, strong, bitter, honest. At least that's what she believed. They were supposed to meet at 6. At 6:15, she called. No answer. At 6:30, she sent a message. Everything okay? At 7:02, her phone rang. But it wasn't Daniel. It was his sister. There had been an accident, a crash, a storm, a lost signal, a last breath. Just like that. He was gone. The waiter asked her if she wanted to order anything. She just shook her head. Her hands were on the table, still holding her phone, still waiting for a reply that would never come. Everything after that was a blur. She walked to his apartment. Empty, cold. She opened his drawer and saw the letters they wrote to each other. The little notes, his handwriting, his scent still in the pillow. She sat on the floor for what felt like hours. No tears, just silence. And now she was standing under that streetlight with everything she owned in one suitcase, and a heart too broken to carry. Anna had moved to the city for love. She left her quiet town, her childhood home, her favorite tree where she used to read books. She left everything behind because she believed love was worth it. And maybe it was. But what happens when love ends? What do you do when your reason for waking up is suddenly gone? That's what nobody tells you. Not your teachers, not your parents, not even your best friends. Nobody tells you what to do after. She walked. No plan, no map, just one foot in front of the other. Each step heavy like she was walking through wet cement. She passed the bookstore where they used to sit and read poetry to each other. She passed the park where he first kissed her. She passed the bus stop where they held hands in silence after their first fight, both too proud to say sorry, both too scared to lose. Everything was a memory now. She turned into a small alley to get away from the busy road. It was darker here, quieter. A stray cat meowed and ran past her feet. She stopped and looked around. There was an old bench under a broken roof. She sat down. And then finally, she cried. Not a quiet cry, not soft, but the kind of cry that shakes your body, breaks your breath, and empties your soul. She didn't care who saw. She didn't care if it rained harder. She didn't care if the world stopped spinning. It felt like the end of everything. But endings are strange things. Sometimes they are really beginnings in disguise. That night, as she sat soaked and shaking on that bench, something happened. Not something big, not something loud, but something real. A sound. Footsteps. Someone was walking toward her. She quickly wiped her face, pretending to be okay, the way people always do when someone's watching. It was a woman. Old, maybe 70. Wearing a long brown coat, carrying an umbrella with a tear in it. Her eyes were kind. Tired, but kind. You look like you've lost something, the woman said. Anna didn't answer. She looked away. The woman sat beside her. She didn't say anything for a long moment. Just sat there the way some people do when they don't need to speak to be kind. Finally, Anna whispered, "I lost someone." The woman nodded slowly. "I know that feeling." Anna looked at her. "How did you survive it?" The woman smiled, not a happy smile, a knowing smile, a sad, warm, soft smile. "You don't survive it," she said. "You carry it, and eventually it becomes part of your strength." Anna looked down at her hands. "It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like drowning." "That's how it always begins," the woman said. "But listen, do you want to come with me just for tonight? I know a place. Warm tea, dry clothes. You shouldn't be alone right now." Anna hesitated. She had trusted someone once, and it broke her. But there was something about this woman. Maybe it was the way she didn't ask too many questions. Maybe it was the way she didn't try to fix anything. Maybe it was because Anna didn't want to be alone anymore. She nodded. The woman stood. Come. They walked in silence, past the sleeping city, past neon lights and closed shops, past lost dreams and broken promises. They arrived at a small building with a yellow door. It didn't look like much, but inside was warmth. Light. The smell of cinnamon and something baking. The woman handed her a towel, dry socks, and a cup of tea. I'm Marie, she said. Anna. Marie nodded. Anna. Do you know why the rain feels sad? Anna looked at her confused. Because it reminds us we are not in control, Marie said. But also, because it washes things clean. The pain, the dirt, the past. You can start again, you know. Anna held the warm cup close to her chest. I don't know how. Marie looked at her gently. Then let's start with something small. One night, one story, one breath. And so in that tiny room with a stranger who felt like safety, Anna took the first step into a life she didn't know was waiting for her. She thought it was the end, but it was just the beginning. That night, Anna slept on a small bed in the corner of Marie's spare room. The sheets smelled like lavender and old memories. The rain had stopped, but inside her chest, the storm was still there. Quiet now, but not gone. She didn't sleep deeply, just enough to forget for a little while, enough to stop thinking, enough to keep breathing. In the morning, the world looked different. Not better, just different. The sun was out, weak but present. Its light came through the window like a whisper. You are still here. Anna sat up and looked around. The room was filled with books. On the walls, in boxes, on every shelf. Some were old and yellow with pages falling out. Others looked brand new, waiting to be opened. She stood and walked over to one. It was a poetry book. The first line she saw said, You may not be who you were yesterday, but you are still becoming someone. She didn't know why, but it made her eyes water again. Marie knocked gently on the door and peeked in. You okay? Anna nodded. Thank you. For last night. Marie smiled. Everyone needs a place to fall apart. Anna followed her to the small kitchen where 2 mugs were waiting, steam rising from both. Toast fruit, a little jar of honey. You didn't have to, Anna said. I know, Marie replied. But I wanted to. They sat at the table, 2 women at very different stages of life, connected by something deeper than age. Pain. Loss. Beginning again. Do you live alone? Anna asked. Marie nodded. Since my husband passed. Years ago. I'm sorry. Marie shrugged softly. It happens. Life takes. But it also gives eventually. Anna stirred her tea. It doesn't feel like it gives much lately. Marie looked out the window. You know I used to be a ballet dancer. Anna raised her eyebrows. Really? Marie smiled. Yes. All my life I trained, performed, toured the world. I lived for it. Until one day, my leg broke in 4 places during a performance in Paris. I was 32. That was the end of my career. Anna leaned forward. What did you do? I cried. I broke. I disappeared for a while. Then, I started a little bookstore. It was small, in a quiet corner of the city. I filled it with words instead of music. And somehow it helped. Anna listened closely. Every word felt like a step out of the darkness. You loved dancing with all my soul, Marie said. But sometimes life changes the song, and we have to learn how to dance again. Anna nodded slowly, feeling something in her chest shift. Not gone, but lighter. They sat in silence for a while, letting the moment breathe. Finally, Marie said, Do you have somewhere to go today? Anna shook her head. No home, no job. No, I was staying with Daniel. He was everything. Marie looked at her gently. Would you like to help me here just for a while? You don't have to decide anything now. Just help me move some books. Clean, organize, stay busy. Anna hesitated, then nodded. Okay. They spent the rest of the day downstairs in a small room behind the kitchen. It was dusty, full of boxes and half-sorted shelves. But there was peace in the work. Simple tasks, folding, wiping, stacking. At some point, Anna laughed, not loudly, just a little. A soft laugh when a tower of books fell and hit her foot. It hurt, but it also felt like life. Marie noticed. She didn't say anything, but she smiled. In the days that followed, Anna stayed. Just one day at a time. She helped organize Marie's books. She started reading again, just 1 page. then a chapter, then whole novels. She walked to the market, sometimes bought flowers. She sat by the window with a journal and wrote down how she felt, even when the words didn't make sense. She stopped checking her phone. She stopped waiting for messages that would never come. Instead, she started noticing things. The sound of leaves brushing against the window. The way Marie always hummed when she cooked. The feeling of warm socks on a cold floor. And one evening, Marie handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" Anna asked. "Open it." Inside was a key. "What is this for?" Marie smiled. "The bookstore. I still pay for the space. I closed it during the pandemic and never reopened. But something tells me maybe someone else should open it again." Anna stared at her. "You want me to run a bookstore? No. I want you to create something with it. Whatever you want. A bookstore, a tea room, a writing space, a place for women to heal. Anything. I just want to see what you'll do with it." Anna held the key tightly in her hand. "But I don't know how." Marie placed a hand over hers. "Neither did I. You learn as you go." That night, Anna walked to the bookstore. It was just a 10-minute walk away. She passed the streets she used to avoid, the corners where memories lived, but this time they didn't scare her. She reached the door. It was old, covered in dust, but the moment she slid the key into the lock and turned it, something clicked. Not just the door, something inside her. She stepped in. It smelled like paper and time. Shelves lined the walls. Dust covered everything. But she saw it. Not what it was, but what it could become. She stood in the center of the room, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Maybe this isn't the end after all." For the first time in weeks, she felt something new. Not joy, not yet, but purpose, a seed of it. And sometimes, that's enough to start again. The next morning, Anna woke up before the sun. She hadn't done that in a long time. She stood in front of the mirror, brushed her hair slowly, and tied it back. Her eyes still looked tired, but there was a new kind of focus in them, a quiet determination. She packed a small bag, made herself tea, and left a note for Marie. "Going to clean the bookstore today. Thank you for believing in me before I could believe in myself." The street was empty and peaceful. The city was still waking up. People rushed past her eyes on their phones chasing something. But Anna didn't feel rushed. She was walking with intention now, step by step toward something she didn't fully understand but needed. When she arrived at the store, she unlocked the door slowly, like opening a memory. The air inside was thick with dust and silence, but it didn't scare her. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. She opened the windows. Let the air flow. She swept the floor. She took down old signs, wiped shelves, cleaned windows, sorted books. She played soft music on her phone, classical gentle piano. It made the space feel alive. For hours, she worked without looking at the time. She didn't think about the past. She didn't wonder about the future. She was just there, present. When the sun started to set, she sat in the middle of the room, surrounded by stacks of books and open boxes. Her hands were sore, her back ached, but her heart felt light. She smiled. She hadn't smiled like that in weeks. The next day, Marie walked in, holding 2 sandwiches and a thermos of tea. "I figured you might forget to eat." Anna laughed. "You were right." Marie looked around, eyes wide. "It looks amazing. Still a lot to do." Marie nodded. "But you've already done the hardest part." Anna raised an eyebrow. "What part is that?" Marie smiled. Beginning. In the days that followed, Anna poured herself into the space. She painted the walls a soft cream color. She wrote messages on little cards and placed them in books. "You are not alone. This page might change your life. Take your time. Healing is not a race." She rearranged the furniture into cozy corners with chairs and pillows. And above the door, she hung a hand-painted sign that simply read, "The Quiet Corner." Not a bookstore, not a cafe, not a clinic, just a space to sit, to read, to write, to cry, to begin. Word spread slowly. The first visitor was a young woman with tired eyes who asked, "Can I just sit here?" Anna nodded. "Of course." The second was an old man who read in silence for hours, then whispered, "Thank you," before leaving. The third was a teenager who asked if he could play his guitar in the corner. His music filled the room with something magic. And just like that, the space began to breathe. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about profit. It wasn't even about books. It was about people. People who needed a moment, a break, a beginning. Anna didn't have all the answers. She still cried sometimes, still missed Daniel, still had days where getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. But she was building something, and that changed everything. One afternoon, a small girl walked in with her mother. She held a crumpled piece of paper in her hand and walked straight to Anna. "I wrote a poem," she said. Anna knelt down. "Would you read it to me?" The girl opened the paper. Her voice was soft. The rain fell hard, but I stayed dry because someone held an umbrella made of kindness. Anna's eyes filled with tears. She reached out and hugged the little girl. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's the most beautiful thing I've heard today." And it was. That night, Anna sat alone in the space. The lights dim, the shelves full, the air warm. She looked around. Not at what she had lost, but at what she had created. From nothing. From pain. From the pieces. She thought about Daniel, about the first day they met, the silly jokes, the long walks, the coffee shop, the promises. She still missed him. But now that love lived in everything she was building. He had been part of her story, but not the end of it. As she closed up for the night, she whispered toward the sky, "I'm okay. I'm really okay." And she meant it. 1 week later, a journalist came by, a young woman who had heard about the quiet corner from a friend. She asked to write a small piece about the space. Anna hesitated. She didn't want attention, but she said yes. The article came out a few days later. The title read, "The Space That Heals, A New Beginning After Loss." People began to visit more often, not just for books, but for what the place gave them without words: peace, acceptance, a reminder that it's okay to fall and to rise again. And always at the door that sign hung quietly. She thought it was the end, but it was just the beginning.